and every document we had be made available to the public at change.gov. And so I think that the precedent was set for exactly the type of thinking that Beth is talking about now in terms of how do you then bring that type of culture and policy into the operations of government. So.
Question back there. And would you please identify yourself?
My name is Dave Torgerson. I work for USDA, but I'm here on my own volition. I have a question for, I guess it would be focused on Ms. McAfee. Do you intend to give report cards? I'm sorry for mispronouncing. Do you intend to give report cards to CIOs? Because I'll just say, as an observation, as a longtime government employee, sometimes the CIOs are part of the problem, not part of the solution. Number two, and I hope that this new breed is not going to be like that. Number two, are you going to do that for the states so that you basically have a report card the way Consumers Reports rates automobiles?
The state level report cards are under discussion, and we're talking about how you would do those in a way that's fair and accurate and really rates people. So I think you'll see in the next few months state coalitions that are emerging to press for more accountability and transparency in the state distribution and allocation of Recovery Act funds that will be getting those report cards. We haven't talked about it at the federal level, but maybe that's an idea that the coalition will take up.
Okay. We're going to do another one from the remote audience, and this is near and dear to my heart. It's from the San Bernardino League of Women Voters. I am concerned about the storage of federal documents and even emails. What will historians of the future access in order to write future biographies and histories? Will information be stored and accessible to future historians? And I would add to people who want to hold the government accountable. So, any of you, Beth?
I'll start on this one. So let me say that one of the first groups that I reached out to when I started this role was to the National Archives and Records Administration team, to the Government Printing Office, to the people who are responsible for making government information accessible, for getting government documents out there, but for also keeping the legacy, the history, the archives of our documentary history and of the work that's being done. So that's definitely very much, I think, the question of how we, and there was conversation this morning, a whole working group was focused on, and there's some meetings I think taking place next week to look at this question of how we create the interface now between new Web 2.0 technologies, the opportunity to create active engagement, rapid participation, blogs, wikis, use of new technologies, much more dynamic forms of participation, and still balance that with keeping the history, creating the archives, and bringing transparency to the work that has been done. So there has also been, this is definitely the work that has been going on around government, is on the radar screen, and I think, again, one of those important topics that is surely within the scope of what we're focusing on, which is not to lose sight. And this is with regard also to the work that's being done on stimulus and transparency, is, again, this is also about keeping the history of what is the New Deal, in effect, and ensuring that our transparency efforts and the policy around transparency keeps account of the importance of that historical record and the transparency that comes with that, the accountability that comes with that.
Yeah, sure.
I just want to make a quick comment to Vivek. And when we're acutely aware of the unevenness of what's going on inside the federal government in terms of their ability to use technology, and that's why everyone, I think, probably in this room, and I know out there that are listening, are so hopeful about the recovery.gov website, because you're in charge of it, and you're starting from scratch, and you know what you're doing. So the idea that that would be the central website for all this information, and we envision just a single page form that people go in and fill out. It could be an online form to report on how they're spending the money. So very simple, goes straight to you, and then can go back out to the states and localities and be public information and make it available. But so all our hopes are pinned on you, and we hope that you'll be the precursor of big, great changes to come across the rest of the federal government.
No pressure. No pressure.
No
yeah.
pressure.
Okay. Please
Jim
identify.
Snyder from Eyes Stolen. One very important document politically that I've not seen as part of the current discussion is congressional communications to the agencies. As you know, well-heeled interests go to Congress all the time asking them to write letters to the agencies on their behalf. I wrote many of them myself when I worked on the Hill early on in my career. And if you want to get access to those, you typically have to go to, say, a Congressional Liaison Office and copy them. They're very inaccessible. why not make those documents, which are very important politically, available? In fact, why not require congressional aides to fill out an electronic form so that they're instantaneously available in a well-structured format? I mean, this is influence being exercised in a very low visibility way on the agencies, so the federal government actually has discretion to disclose that information.
Anybody want to?
So I mean, what I would say is absolutely. Beyond just those documents, one of the things that we're doing is we're looking at all business processes across the federal government. And one of the things that's been fascinating is you'll see how many people it takes to move around a business process. And the challenge is making sure that we're rapidly, one, automating those business processes, but more important than that is ensuring that as we're automating, we're not just recreating processes, taking them from their current format to a new format that's webified, but completely changing the way that process works so it, one, is efficient, two, you lower the friction in terms of how work gets done, and three, you make it completely transparent and open. And as I said before, starting with a default setting that says, hey, this should be transparent rather than let's secure it. And that's part of the transformation that I was talking about earlier.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. Another question from our remote audiences, and I think this has to do with a lot of states, or a number of states anyway, are especially related to education expenditures. They're essentially putting their checkbook registers up online, so the public knows what is being spent, what the contracts are, what's being spent on all sorts of things, but particularly education in this context. So this question is from Hartford, Connecticut, and it's, when will we see government checkbook registers maintained in real time on the internet or even updated daily? And I think that's probably yours.
So we're on that. We're actually beginning with the Recovery Act. Well, one of the things that happened in the federal government was that we actually created a Treasury account for each agency. So now you'll be able to track in terms of how that money is being spent, because part of the confusion was you had these outdated systems and money would be rolled into a financial management system, and it was being tracked differently by different agencies. You couldn't even tell where the funding was really going. So by a function of having these separate Treasury accounts, you'll be able to see that on recovery.gov as funding goes out, in terms of where it's going, how much, what it's for, and moving forward with states and locals, that's where also, you know, ensuring that those systems all, are capable of, one, pushing out that information, and two, making sure that as that information is pushed out, it's done in an enterprise standard, rather than having to interpret, you know, 50 different standards plus all the local governments plus the federal government. And that's why the next session where we get into the architecture is vital, and making it available in different formats like ADAM 1.0, RSS, XML, so people can manipulate all the data as you suggested.
Yes.
My name is Leanne Nurse, and I'm representing the National Coalition for Dialogue and Deliberation outside the day job at EPA. This is mostly directed to Beth, but also to the other panelists. To what extent do you think the Open Government Directive will incorporate the kinds of principles for civic engagement that are being developed through NCDD and other related organizations, or perhaps the steps that we established at EPA for effective public participation?
Great, and I'm glad you called attention to this document which was floating around, and the work that NCDD and others have been doing to try to bring attention to the idea of principles of public engagement as well as principles of transparency. And NCDD has actually participated in some of the outreach sessions that we've done, and helped to share those both during the transition and then now in the new administration. So we will definitely speak to, I mean, we're focused here on transparency in part. This memorandum on open government focuses squarely on all three of these principles. So I think no one to the exclusion or out of balance with the other, which is very much about encouraging early and effective participation. EPA has been really at the forefront of modeling out new practices and really bringing innovation and trying new things, not simply the traditional practices of APA-based notice and comment rules.